Welcome to 9 to 5 with Wangari. As those who know me, my name's Wangari. I'm the host of this channel, 9 to 5 with Wangari. Today, we're discussing leadership. When we think of leadership and a leader, we think of this extroverted, loud, visionary person. But sometimes not always the case. We have introverted leaders in the workplace, and that's what we're discussing today. I'll switch right over to my guest. He'll give his own intro.
Hello, Samuel Munyili. I'm also called Sam. I'm a technical lead and a software developer with around 7 years work experience in software development field and around 8 years overall work experience.
Awesome. Thank you, Sam. I know you didn't start as a software engineer or a developer. You started in accounting. Tell us how you got into accounting.
Yeah, so my schooling started in the 90s, but went to high school in the mid-2000s.
Yeah.
Studied somewhere in Kitui, a school called St. Joseph Seminary. Mm-hmm. Not that I wanted to become a priest, but it was the best school I could get at that time.
Yeah.
Then I went on to Maseno University, where I studied Bachelor of Business Administration in Accounting.
Yeah.
Around the same time, period around 2011 through 2013, I also did my CPS, Certified Public Accountant.
Oh, look at you.
Mm-hmm. Finished before I graduated. Then after that, I started off with some bit of internship, which were just to enhance my knowledge from the school, to just prepare me for the next step, which was to be a very successful accountant or auditor in the field.
Yeah. So when was the moment you're like, I am done with accounting and I want to try like software engineering?
Well, the story is a bit interesting.
Yeah.
When I got my very first internship placement in one of the audit companies in Nairobi, I thought actually my career had just started in a very positive way. But within 3 months, I not just made a lot of enemies, I knew I was in the wrong place. I got a very bad recommendation, I remember. I've never used it for anything because it questioned about my attitude and everything around that. So when I retrospected on that, later I realized, yeah, maybe I'm just trying to force things in the wrong place.
Okay,
I should start looking beyond.
Why did you create a lot of enemies, like in the workplace?
We were different.
Okay.
And I'm the kind of person who wants to experiment things.
Oh, yeah.
Accountancy
we'll be talking about that. Yeah.
So I want to redefine the rules.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, we don't need to follow the book. Let's create our own book. Let's create our own rules. But then I'm told, no, we don't do that.
We don't do that in accounting. Poor accountants.
So at the end of the day, my direct manager said I don't always follow instructions.
Oh, no.
I'm always debating with them, and that was it.
So this is just like a great example of putting a wrong person in the wrong profession, and yeah, it can just go wrong. Okay, that's pretty cool. So how did you switch? What process did you take from like you realized I'm facing issues in accounting, let me look for something else? And what was that discovery phase? Like, what was that discovery process for you?
The process was gradual. When I was in campus, I learned how to script databases and things like that. And I found it extremely intriguing. So I liked it. But in accounting, I didn't have the chance to do that. So I remember my team, the friendly part of my team, used to think that I was their IT guy. So I would be the guy who was fixing things for them. And
lovely.
Always trying to debug things, open CMD and those kind of things. Yeah. So immediately after the audit placement, I became jobless for a few weeks. Yeah. I didn't know what to do next. But then I still thought of myself as an accountant. You see, in our current job sector, most employers hire you for what you've either studied or experienced in. So I could not jump all the way to what I wanted, and I didn't know what I wanted at that point. I just knew I was in the wrong place, and I needed to start switching. So I got a few jobs in IT where I was partially doing IT and accounting, because I remember I did a lot of balance sheets and tax computations. And all that. But again, if the balance sheet did not look right, I'd go to the system and try to find out why is the system not giving
Oh,
the right
I
thing.
see.
Yeah, so it was a bit of balance of both. And got the first job where I was dealing with Sage Africa.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Sage is, it's a software company. Then after that, I went to a different company that was dealing with software applications for accounting in universities. So again, I found myself as a system administrator because now my responsibility is to ensure that the university students can access the system and also the management. But still a lot of accounting work. I found myself sometimes teaching people how taxation works in the system, how taxation works in real life.
Oh, okay.
And of course, balancing the books over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah. The final move really to move to software engineering came around 1.5 years from the time I graduated when I decided now I need to start learning how to code. I had not learned how to code before that. I just knew how to script things. And went to YouTube, of course.
Oh, YouTube University. We love YouTube University.
Yeah, there's a particular channel by a guy who called Bucky Roberts.
Bucky Roberts. Okay.
New Boston. I think he has a video on every programming language.
Oh, that's so
I don't
cool.
know how he does that. So I went there. I learned later that my first programming language I learned was Visual Basic.
Oh,
I didn't know back then. I just
Why?
how to program.
Yeah.
So I just followed a Visual Basic video.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So once you learned Visual Basics, like, what was the next step for you? Because I know you progressed after your YouTube University into like some formal learning.
Yeah, as an accountant, the first thing I created was a tax calculator using my of course YouTube University course. That was back in 2015. So I created my very first standalone application. Whose work was just give it you a lot of data and then it outputs for you a tax report and things like that. Needless to say, it never went live anyway, so there's no link for it.
If anyone needs a tax calculator, he's got one in VB, so
Yeah.
I don't know how. Yeah.
Yep. Then I realized that VB was not the future of programming, at least not for me. So I decided to learn other languages. I learned a bit of C#.
And all this time it's happening on YouTube? Like you're learning from YouTube?
Yes, I'm learning on YouTube. I actually printed a very big manual because back then I'd work in places where the network was protected from YouTube. So I had to find a way
to figure it out, yeah.
Yes, and also in my house, back then we did not have Safaricom home fiber.
So, or GTL, or Zuku, yeah.
Yeah, or Zuku.
Yeah.
And so I needed to have the material. So I printed a very big book. And I read a bit of it and then realized, no, this doesn't work. So I was still experimenting, but yeah, that's how I define software development. You experiment.
Yeah, you have
try
to.
one thing, doesn't work, you try another. So when actually I started really learning as a software developer is when I decided to resign from my work.
You had to resign. You had to like, I'm done. I need to create space to learn.
Yeah, I'm so unhappy. Let me go and be unhappy alone. So yeah, I resigned and decided to pick courses online. Yeah, I never really went back to school and say, now I'm enrolling for a software development class. Picked a lot of courses online, Udemy especially, and some bit of blogs. Started programming for creating desktop applications.
Mm-hmm. Desktop applications, wow.
And still,
in
I was still thinking in accounting. I created a payroll system. I created an accounting system.
That's amazing.
Yeah. But the difficult part was, how do I keep making money when I'm creating the application? Yeah. So I became a freelance. So if you want a small PHP application, I would create it for you very, very quickly. So I found myself knowing how to code in PHP, not learning it. Just someone wants it in PHP. Yeah, let's figure it out. Let's get it done. So for 2 years, I sat in my house, creating things and learning how to program.
And how are you getting jobs? Like, or is it just like through referrals or through your network?
It's referrals especially.
Oh, nice.
And my network. Immediately when I resigned, I teamed up with a friend of mine his name is Benson.
Hey, Benson.
One day. And we still continued to support some of the clients who are using the previous application that we were working with. Kind of just continuing where I had been working with him during the period that I was working in Sage. So we had a number of clients who are using Sage. So we just got some few contracts to support them. Then these clients would have needs like we need to integrate a system and another system. So I would say I can do that.
I can do that, yeah.
Yeah, for a small payment, which was enough to keep me for the month. Okay. That was the target. It was never
just to keep you.
It was never about the savings. Enough to feed me and to keep me moving.
Awesome. Sometimes that's kind of like all you need to live is in the moment, yeah? So you've done all this learning in a lot of informal, like YouTube, Udemy's, gaining a lot, like you're able to roll out and launch applications. Were you like, what next? How did you go from that to, what was your next stage?
So I think sometimes it goes to the quality of the people you associate yourself with.
So true.
Because one of my friends back then kept telling me that you need to join a formal kind of environment.
Exactly.
Yeah, you need to get a job. I didn't. After being a freelance, you have so much time. You don't want to go back to 9 to 5.
Yes.
So finally, they encouraged me to join. There was a startup in Kenya back then, Andela.
We love Andela. It was just a startup, and I love the quality of like engineers like Andela.
So
brought to the market. Yeah,
I interviewed for Andela, and in the second attempt, when I completely changed my attitude towards 9 to 5, I managed to move into Andela. That was the beginning. That was like the return of my professional 9 to 5 life again.
Yeah.
And from then on, working with different people, very different experiences around the space, I found myself just moving from one step to the other, all the way to the leadership.
Yeah. Position. I mean, I don't think it was like that easy as you make it sound. I remember when we used to work together, if we need an engineer who knows iOS, if we need an engineer who knows backend, if we need, Sam was always the guy. You'd be like, Sam, I need an iOS engineer. Like, sure, I will learn it and we'll see what we can do. So I want us to talk about that a little bit. I know like some people tend to be very specialist, like, I only do like iOS, I only do Android. And some people are like very generalist, like you are. And of course, there's pros and cons to the different ones. Sometimes I think for like technical leadership, being like a generalist is a good idea because you can jump in and help like, different engineers along the journey if they have problems. So I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
So there's one thing I always like to define myself with, that I don't limit how much I can do, how much I can achieve. I
love that.
If I find something interesting, I'll go for it. Now, if I look at how I learned to be a software developer, I learned by taking a few risks, trying things, resigning from my work, and learning Visual Basic, learning how to script and all that. So I find programming and the entire field of software development very interesting.
Yeah.
And there's no one correct way of doing things. I don't believe in high specialization. I believe in some level of specialization where there's one area you are very strong in, but then you have other areas where you can potentially be good at. So when I look at, let's say we want to develop an application or a system, I don't look at it from which language are we going to use? Are we going to go
I like
Flutter or Swift?
Because there are people who are obsessed with like, no, it has to be in this certain language. It's like, why?
It's the open-mindedness.
Which is awesome.
You have to open yourself to the number of possibilities, the number of ways you can do things. But then there's a limit to everything, because you can't just be jumping from one place to the other.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you do so many things and none very well. So it's balance. Get that one thing that you know very, like, that's your leverage. That's the thing you know very well. That's the thing you bring to the table at
I love
any time. you can always deliver in that. Then get yourself involved in other things. You learn a lot of things. Like when I moved to iOS, for example, I didn't know how secure iOS applications are until I got there and realized even as a developer, sometimes you struggle to do. Apple limits you to a certain level that even you do not have so much freedom to do a lot of things. So you learn those things. As you move to leadership, that kind of information actually helps you to make high-level decisions.
Yeah, I love it. So if someone was to ask for advice, like how do I switch? How do I be like Sam? How do I think you've hinted at a few things, like experimenting, being open to learning. But all I'm asking is 3 things. If I want to switch, what do I need to think about?
It begins with a decision.
A decision, I like that. Decide, number one.
You have to know where you stand. Do you want to stay or do you want to move? Once you're in that space where you know exactly, I want to stay in accountancy, I want to move to audit, I want to move to software development, I want to move to DevOps, I want to move to front end, you make that decision. You can still make a decision to be everywhere, but then,
Focus.
It will be
important.
After you make the decision, you just said it.
Focus.
Focus. Put everything there. I remember when I was learning how to program, the first 1 year, I call it the most intense. Quite honestly, I've not seen any more intense. Even when work gets intense today, I've never seen anything more intense.
Because it was day and night coding, I can imagine. Just
I would
wake
work
up
for between 15 and 18 hours a day.
Oh, wow.
Seated down, I'm learning on one side how to code. I'm trying to fix a client's issue in the middle. And on the other side, I'm trying to create my own application at the same time. So without the focus, without the dedication, you just can't pull that. You'll get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
You might even have to fight madness and social mental illness in that kind of space. And of course, the last thing is get a mentor.
Get a mentor. I love that.
You need someone who is more experienced than you, someone who understands things from the big picture perspective, and someone, most importantly, who understands what you want to achieve. So don't get a general mentor who knows how to mentor people. Someone who understands you, someone who connects with your ambition.
I love that. That's like really good advice. So decide, focus, and get a mentor. Guys, if any of my viewers are wondering, how do I switch? He's just told you the answers. So it's for you to take the first step and decide. Let's now switch over to your transition to leadership. I consider you and working with you in the past to be quite an introvert. Like you're quite introverted, but I saw a lot of skills that you've talked about in you, like your willingness, you're very open-minded, you want to experiment, you're also a very smart guy, people will look up to you, and those are key qualities of leadership. How are you finding leadership, like as an introvert? And am I wrong to call you an introvert? I don't put labels on you.
Yeah, I am an introvert, albeit a selective one. I am 90% introvert and 10% an extreme extrovert. Depends where you put me. Now, I've always considered myself a leader, but without the title.
Yeah, so, I love that.
Yeah, put me in a group of people. We want to achieve something. I will try to see that I'm part of the team that's getting us a direction. So I'm trying to be involved in how the team is going to progress. So that has always been how I view leadership.
No, it's true.
Then you have to come to the title itself. Yeah. Now you have to be a leader. Now, in the workplace, it's not just about how you look at leadership. You now have to integrate with people. You have to do some bit of managing people, managing even situations and things like that. So leadership generally is fun and it's not easy.
It's not easy at all, I agree.
Yeah, one moment you wake up with a very good schedule until, of course, something changes. You have the responsibility of getting the best out of your team. And to do that, you learn to be flexible, to be open-minded, to always believe that your way is not the best way.
Yeah.
You have to listen to other people. You have to consider their way of thinking. You have to consider what makes them rock, what gets the best out of them. How do you deal with the demotivated people? How do you deal with overly motivated people?
Overly motivated.
So,
those ones are usually not a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll find yourself in some place where the level between one person and the other one is quite
different.
Big.
Yeah.
And if you do not manage that, it's going to be visible in the output of the team. You're always pulling things together. And most importantly, I think as a leader, you just understand that you don't know everything better than everyone. As a matter of fact, you just know one thing and everyone knows something else. And they all bring
different
things to the table. So learn to listen, learn to consider other ways of doing things. It's just don't come there with, this is how we do it. Just listen to what everyone brings, what everyone thinks. At the end of the day, and I think it's there as part of leadership, you have to make a call. You have to make a decision. So you need to learn how to convince people to follow your decision, how to make the quality of decisions better. Because if the quality of your decision is not as good, whether or not it came from your other people in the team, it's on you. The responsibility of failure, unfortunately, falls you as a leader. More than the responsibility of success. Anyway, there's no responsibility for success.
Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting. How do you handle people, like especially say leadership above you, who's opposite, who's maybe quite extroverted? Their opinion is the way to go. How do you handle that? Like,
yeah, you brought back the topic about introverted. Yeah, I think I could just mention that a bit. Yeah, I am an introvert. I'm the kind of person that works best in a smaller group than in a bigger group. But then in life, in workplace, anywhere, that's not what you find. You find mostly introverts, mostly extroverts, bit of introverts. So I think leadership, maybe to introduce a bigger term, you need to find some bit of wisdom. You need to know how to deal with people. The thing is, if you're trying to achieve a goal, it's not about your way. It's not about what you like. It's about what works for the team. So you may have people who are above you, who believe in something different. I don't think whether your aim is to make them follow your way. Your first responsibility is to explain ensure that it's very clear what you think. Then after that, you let them make the call. If it's someone who has to make the decision, it's just about making yourself very clear. And I believe 90% of the time, if you are very convinced what you think is the right way, and you communicate it right, people will just agree with you.
I love it. I really like that. Thanks for sharing that. I guess one of my final questions, if there's anything else you wanted to discuss, would you ever go back to accounting? When you're like, and do you do it? Like, I guess it's a skill, it's a great skill to have as an individual, I would say, but would you ever be like, maybe I should go back?
Okay, I'm very much tempted to say no, but if I'm to stay open-minded, possibly, but I don't, it's not part of what I'm planning to do.
Such your plans?
I don't project it as part of my future career plan, is going back to accounting. Accounting is a very good field. I always believe if I had stayed there, I would have probably, after the first 5 years, since my graduation, I would have been a higher place, a better place. But if when I was making the switch, I was trying to project my life in a 25-year period.
Wow, 2025.
So, if I'm in accounting, what will I become next? 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 Will I remain motivated after 20 years? The answer for me was never a straight yes.
Okay, gotcha.
In software development, things are changing. Engineering, things are constantly changing. You are constantly being forced to learn new things. And it's a space I want to stay in for
the foreseeable future. It is a good space.
Yeah.
So what's your plan? Since you have 25-year plans, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was 25, 5 years ago. So maybe we are looking at 20 or maybe less than that.
So where do you want to take your career? Because now you're in leadership, you're a technical leader. What next for you?
The next thing is, well, I always say once you begin moving up,
You just keep going up?
even if you move to the very next to the top, anything below that is not success. You just have to keep moving. I think.
Or sideways sometimes?
Yeah, sometimes sideways, but you can cheat the system by switching to something else which will take you a bit lower. But the thing is, if you want to really remain ambitious and motivated, you have to keep moving higher. Well, I'm not really the leader that's influencing the entire industry or the entire space of technical software engineering. So the next thing is try to be that. Move to a space where I'm able to make decisions which impact a bigger number of people, industries. So from looking at it from a team, smaller team perspective to organization, then the entire space. I need to be a tech leader in, I'll pick an example of someone like Elon Musk. If he talks about space travel and things like that, he's an influencer in that space.
Yeah.
It's no longer about SpaceX.
Yeah.
It's about the entire industry, the entire space, about space traveling. Yeah, maybe I'll go to Mars and I should put that.
Please don't go. We need you here. We like you here. You're so nice. The rest can go. You stay with us.
Maybe it's a return ticket.
I don't know. Stay with us. Stay on Earth.
In Mars, I don't even know.
Awesome. That has been really, really interesting. Just talking about your journey from the seminary to accounting to leadership, and now you're thinking about world domination. I love it, and I'm always here to support you. Is there like any final parting shots around like leadership, engineering, like for my viewers and listeners?
Yeah. Maybe just generally. The first thing is I remember when I made the switch, I didn't let my family know first because I didn't want my folks to be worried that I'm in Nairobi without
a plan or job.
There was a plan, but it was very difficult to explain. To them, it was difficult. They wanted to ensure that at the end of the month, I have enough money to keep me for the next month. So that was the hard part. It was actually, it was more mental sometimes. Yeah, just remaining in that, staying motivated. And I remember putting myself in I was having a discussion with one of my friends and told them the decision I've made can give me one of only two outcomes. I'll either succeed very well or fail flat.
Yeah.
So now for the guys who are just thinking about should I go to engineering or should I move to that thing, the right time to move is now.
Now.
I believe if I had delayed my decision to move for 1 or 2 years, it would be too late.
Yeah.
Or it would have completely stretched my career for the length of time I did not want it to stretch. So make the call. It's never going to be easy. If it's really worthwhile, it's not supposed to be easy. If it's easy, you're not challenging yourself. So pick that thing which is challenging. Do what you fear, but you feel like it motivates you, but it makes you completely freak out.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Go for it.
I love it. That's a really great parting shot. And when did you, I know it was the final, but when did you actually tell your family, like, I made the switch?
I decided to do it in case-by-case basis. I started off with the closest people in my family, like my brother. I told him, I'm a freelance now, and you don't worry, I'll be okay. Then I moved on to my. Then after my siblings, then I moved to my parents. Told them, yeah, I'm a software developer now. Of course, I had to explain to them what software development is.
Just tell them, he's an engineer. They're like, you're an engineer.
Yeah. There's a way I deal with computers as an engineer. So it's, yeah. Well, that's a good thing. My father kept asking about when I'm going to accounting for a while. Until I told him, now I think I'm not going there. Because he was actually willing to pay my master's course in finance. And then I just told him, you just hold, I'll tell you when to do it. So when I finally came back and told him, you know, I'm not going back to accounting, I still think I need some bit of experience in software development.
Yeah.
He was, okay, yeah, it's fine. I don't see any issues. Yeah, go for it.
Thank you, Sam. That was such a great conversation. A lot of great nuggets of wisdom around, you know, just making the decision first and then being very focused and just going for it. And I think also just always just keeping an open mind around what you want to do. So yeah, I hope you loved it. Please comment, share, and don't forget to subscribe. And that's it for now. Until next time, ciao.